Deciding between a laptop and a desktop is one of the hardest choices to make when attempting to buy a gaming PC. It's very dependent on what you'll be doing with the system, what trade-offs you're willing to make, and whether you can deal with those trade-offs in the long run. Now that I've been on both laptop and desktop team for a significant amount of time, I'm here to help you decide whether you need a gaming laptop or a gaming desktop. There are multiple things to consider when making this choice: upgradability, thermal performance, repairability, portability, customization, what you already own, and your skill level in the field of gaming PCs. First, let's talk upgradability. On a desktop, especially on a system you've built yourself, you can upgrade absolutely everything, from the GPU to the CPU, even the power supply. The upgradability of a desktop will make it last much longer than a laptop, which typically only allows you to upgrade the storage and the RAM. Granted, that upgrade path is much better than most thin and light notebooks, which typically have the storage and or the RAM soldered straight to the motherboard. However, it's nowhere near the upgrade path you'll have on an average desktop. A couple of years ago, Alienware actually used to sell laptops with an upgradable CPU, but that got discontinued. Thermal performance is a big one to watch out for when making this decision. A gaming laptop will almost always get hotter performing the exact same task as a gaming PC with the same specs because of the size and the space constraints. Granted, the temperatures a laptop will reach are safe to run the device at, but you'll probably run into thermal throttling more than on a desktop. And when your laptop fans inevitably get clogged with dust like every PC fan, they tend to be much more of a tedious process to clean. Repairability kinda falls onto upgradability as well, but it's slightly different. On a laptop, even if you know exactly what's happening with your system, the chances of you being able to repair it yourself are lower than a desktop. When my GPU died on my Alienware laptop, I had no choice but to send my system off to Dell and wait a month for them to fix it. Luckily, I was still under warranty, but it still did take a month. If I had a GPU problem on my desktop, I could just order a new GPU off Amazon, wait a week, and repair it myself, and it'd be much faster and much easier than dealing with Dell support.
And for extra $100, you can also upgrade the chassis options like 500 watts chassis. You said you're not in financing. So please check your email and reply, no problem.
3 times financing!
What is premium support, 4 years?
Yeah, what is that doing?
So did we get upsold on the warranty anyways?
However, that's not to say that nothing can be repaired on a laptop. As we mentioned earlier, most gaming laptops typically allow you to replace the RAM and the SSD, so if one of those parts fails, that's a pretty easy fix right there. But most gaming laptops also have replaceable fans, batteries, speakers, etc., with most parts being available on sites like eBay. Portability is obviously going to the laptop side, and it's a big plus. In fact, it's basically the only major reason you'd buy a gaming laptop. If you're watching this video, and you know you're going to need to take your setup to a friend's house or carry it on a plane, you're wasting your time. But, maybe stick around for the viewer retention. If you need portability, you shouldn't be considering a gaming desktop, unless you need 2 systems. Customization is another category that kinda falls under upgradability, but this is more focused on choosing what you'll purchase from the start. If you're buying a desktop, you have full control over the look and performance of the system. You could get a top-of-the-line case and put an Intel Pentium in there with an RTX 3090. It's stupid, but no one's going to stop you. You have control. When purchasing a laptop, you get what you're given. If you like the chassis of a laptop from MSI, but you don't like the performance, but the performance on an ROG is pretty good, but you don't really like the case, too bad. You're kind of stuck with it. You're always going to be making compromises. However, this might make your purchase easier, especially if you don't know much about gaming PCs, which I'll talk more about later. A desktop PC requires many more additional purchases over a laptop. Sure, you might have a shiny new desktop built and ready to go, but it's going to be pretty useless if you don't have a keyboard and a mouse and a monitor, at the bare minimum. And if you want to hear things, that's another purchase of a speaker or a headphone set. Plus, you'll need a flash drive for Windows. That's only like $10, but it's still, an additional purchase. A laptop will consolidate all of that into one package. The only other necessary purchase I would say is a requirement for a laptop is probably a mouse. You don't want to be gaming on a trackpad. Apart from that, you've got your keyboard, your monitor, your speakers, built in, ready to go without any extra setup. Even if they aren't the best peripherals you can find, they're still usable while you go out and find an external monitor or a different keyboard. Apart from portability, what you already know about gaming PCs is going to be a big reason a lot of people buy gaming laptops. If you know absolutely nothing about gaming PCs and specs and GPUs and whatever the fucking AMD is, it's going to be much easier to get started by just going into a big retailer like JB Hi-Fi or like Best Buy for the Americans and just buy the first laptop you see with RGB lights on the keyboard and the word gaming on it. People will go on about the fact that,
pre-built-in laptops are so much worse than building your own desktop. Build your own desktop.
but is the person who doesn't know anything about computers, who's coming from an Xbox, are they going to know how to do that? Are they going to want to do that? Is the parent trying to give their kid a good Christmas going to know what parts to get and where to get the parts if they just ask for a gaming computer? Probably not. It's easier for the average consumer who doesn't know what they're doing to buy a laptop. And maybe you don't know anything about gaming PCs. Maybe you're in that part. Maybe you don't know anything apart from they're better than gaming consoles. And maybe a laptop is your best option. I know for me personally, I didn't know anything about specs or hardware when I got my first Alienware laptop 5 or 6 years ago. But it was a gateway into the world of desktops and building my own PC. And it was usable. I could play games on it. And I did end up just building my own PC because of the knowledge I learned from using the Alienware. So which is better, a laptop or a desktop? In terms of raw performance and power and thermals, a desktop will always probably be better for gaming, but it really depends on your use case. Hell, if you're doing something like video editing and you just want the power of like an NVIDIA GPU, but you don't really want to play games, you'd probably be better off with something like a 14-inch MacBook Pro or even an upgraded M2 MacBook Air. Stay subscribed, by the way, because I've got some great content for when that comes out. Hope this video helped you decide on whether you need a laptop or a desktop, and I'll see you guys next time. That was pretty good, I think. How do I stop it?